So this is a very powerful sikha. Very, very powerful sikha. The Rebbe starts off discussing the concept of kilayim. I want to speak out a little bit in Yonim and what the Rebbe brings down in the sikha. In general, we know there's three types of kilayim. There's kilayim in animals. A person breeds two animals together, and that's the isser of kilayim. Mixing, yeah. So if we'll take two different animals and they should breed them, and they have children, there will be a mixture of both of them. That's one way of kilayim. It's an isser to breed animals. Then there's an isser of kilayim in the seeds of the ground. You can't plant two different types of vegetables together. All the different halachas of kilayim in things that in vegetation. And then there's the kilayim, the third kilayim, which is the kilayim of garments, which is actually a mixture of both. Because the pishton, the flax, linen grows, so it's semeach, and the tzemer, the wool, is from a sheep, from an animal. So the three kilayims, one is in semeach itself, you can't put two different seeds together. One is in chai itself, in animals, you can't put two animals together. And the last one is begodim, clothing, you can't put the tzemeach and the chai together. This is the famous thing that kilayim of begodim traces back to Cain and Hevel. It's brought down from actually Midrashim, Pirkei de Rabbi Lezer already, that Hevel worked with the sheep and he brought his korban from the sheep as a korban for Hashem, while Cain brought his korban from linen. And we saw Cain and Hevel, each one, Cain representing the linen and Hevel representing the sheep. And when Cain and Hevel were together, it just brought destruction. Cain killed Hevel. They weren't able to get along. So this represents to us that Tzemer and Pishtim can't get along, and therefore we're not supposed to put them together. This is already brought down in Midrashim, and these are the three types of kilayim. Besides these three types of kilayim, we have something very similar, which also falls into the family of kilayim, which is basar b'cholav, milk and meat. Because milk and meat also, each one for itself is mutter. And only when you put them together, it's a certain type of kilayim, because that's what kilayim is all about. Each one for itself is good. For some reason, when they get together, the Torah says it's danger. So too, milk and meat is also a type of kilayim. So, in this sikha, the Rebbe starts off saying that certain kilayims we find permissible in certain cases, and some kilayims are never permissible. So let's take the kilayim of two seeds together, or two animals. We never find it being permissible. Whatever the Torah says is osir is always osir. However, the kilayim of shatnez, of wool and linen, we find cases where it's permissible. Tzitzis, we don't do it because practically the Rabbanan said not to do it. But if a person had a linen garment and he wanted to put on tchelis, like they used to have, so you were allowed to put mixed wool and linen together, because we learned it out from the Torah. The Torah puts together, don't wear shatnez, you should wear tzitzis. To tell you that for the mitzvah of tzitzis, you're allowed to wear shatnez. The Chacham came along and said that a person might continue wearing it at night when he's not obligated in tzitzis, and then he'll only be having the aveda, not the mitzvah. So because of certain cases, we don't want you wearing the shatnez. So midrabanan, people don't wear wool and linen in the tzitzis. But min ha-Torah, you could have wool and linen in your tzitzis.
So you would have to. So you shouldn't wear a 4-cornered linen garment during the day.
Yeah. So nowadays we don't. If you have 4-cornered linen garment, you would have tzitzis that are made out of linen. You wouldn't have tzitzis made out of wool. Min ha-Torah, it's possible that you would be able to have tzitzis made out of wool. But midrabanan, you can't. You have to have linen. So we do find kilayim being permissible for the mitzvah of tzitzis. Kilayim being permissible in the Beis Hamikdash by Bigdei Kahuna. The Bigdei Kahuna also had the avnet of the koyin was made out of wool and linen, kalayim, the belt of the koyin. So we find in two places being permissible. Very interesting. Basar b'cholov, we find a havamina of the medrash to say that it's mutter, because the Torah says, very interesting. The Torah says, "Reishis bikuri ad moscha tovi beis Hashem alikecha." You should bring the bikurim to the Beis Hamikdash. Leisavashel libach alevimei. You can't have basar b'cholov. So what's the connection? So the medrash tells us that one would think that in things that belong to the Beis Hamikdash, in Hekdesh, you could have basar b'cholov. And the Torah says that even Beis Hashem alikecha, even pertaining to things that are in the Beis Hamikdash, you can't have basar b'cholov. So basar b'cholov is somewhere in the middle that we would think it's mutter in the Beis Hamikdash, and we let you know that it's not.
Just because of the pasuk, we think it's
What?
Just because of the pasuk, the hekesh in the pasuk, we would think it's
Yeah. No, we would. Well, the pasuk has to tell you that you can't. But I guess you'd think it's mutter otherwise, and the pasuk has to let you know that it's not mutter. So what's going on over
Do you think
here?
that what's mutter? Do you think that what's mutter?
That basar b'cholov is mutter in the Beis Hamikdash, and we say it's not. So what's going on? It must be with that kalayim is not such a simple thing, but in kalayim itself, there's actually two types of kalayim. That's what the Rebbe in the Sikha goes into. That there's actually two types of kalayim. There is kalayim that is discussed the Rebbe brings from the Ramban, Rabbeinu Bechaya. But what is the reason for kalayim? The Ramban and Rabbeinu Bechaya say actually kalayim has a very simple reason. The reason is because you're destroying what Hashem made. You're saying what Hashem made is not good enough. We have to have something different. Let's say Hashem made wheat and Hashem makes barley, and a person puts the two seeds together and makes something new. So making something new is saying what Hashem made is not good enough. I'm changing it and I want something different. Take two animals and you're making a new species. You're saying these species that Hashem made is not good enough. I need something new. Kalayim, and Rabbeinu Bechai says a myriad of Kalayim comes from the word kela, beis hakela, prison. When a person does kalayim, he's imprisoning what Hashem made. He's not allowing it to continue. Rather, he wants something different. So we're saying what Hashem made is not good enough. We want something different. And Hashem says, "Don't make kalayim. What I made, I want it to be." And it's very interesting that Rabbeinu Bechaya goes in Parshas Kedeshim goes even further, and he says the concept of payas and a beard, al pi pshat, is the same concept as kalayim. Because Hashem made a man and Hashem made a woman, and one of the signs of a man being a man is that you have payas growing down and then a beard growing. And a woman does not have the payas and the beard.
Yeah, the face.
Payas coming down, I guess.
What do you mean? If you let it grow, it'll come down. It's
No,
just-
growing over here, growing in this whole area.
Sideburn.
There's no mitzvah for women, so
No, this whole thing growing, the payas really.
This is the beard.
It's a question
Face.
exactly where
Girls
the
have
payas.
girls have faces like that.
It's a question where the payas exactly finish and the beard begin, I guess. It looks like from Ravina Bachai that the payas continue going down, not just but actually what grows here is the payas.
Which is what we think of as part of the beard.
Uh-huh.
Which is what we think of as the sideburns.
Yeah. So he says that if a man is destroying his payas or his beard, what's he saying? He's trying to take away the separation between a man and a woman. Now Hashem made a man different than a woman. And Hashem made special signs by a man that he's different than a woman. And Hashem wants it to remain. And a person is saying, no, it's not good enough. I want to take away the distinction of a man and a woman. Rabbeinu Bechaya says that's the Isser of Kalayim. It's very interesting, especially nowadays. Nowadays, the whole distinction between a man and a woman is becoming like people are trying to play around with the whole difference and mix things up. And it really is the whole root of Kalayim. And according to Rabbeinu Bechaya, it's the concept of a beard and payas. That if Hashem made something in a certain way, Hashem says, don't change it, don't destroy it, don't imprison it. let it be, and I want it to be able to express itself and be the way I made it. So if Hashem made an orange, Hashem says, I want the orange to remain orange, and let it continue having oranges, and the lemon should be a lemon and continue having lemons. And when you're going to mix both, you're saying the orange shouldn't be an orange anymore, the lemon shouldn't be an lemon anymore, we want something different. Hashem says, that's also. You're saying what I made, if I made it, I want it to continue. Hashem made a man, a woman, and Hashem wants them to be who they are. And destroying something, not allowing it to be that way, is the Isser of Kalayim. That's one Isser of Kalayim. Mm-hmm. However, by garments is a whole different Isser of Kalayim. Because by garments, we're not destroying the concept of what it is. By a garment, you're taking wool, you're taking linen, and you're just putting them together. According to halacha, there could even be wool here and linen here, and you're just sewing it together. That's also kalayim. So you're not actually taking away the identity, you're just mixing two opposite things together. Like Cain and Hevel, they weren't able to get along together. You're putting tzemer and pishtim, which are two opposites. One represents chesed, one represents gvura, and putting them together is the concept of kalayim.
So how does it work with eating fruits that were crossbred?
Certain kalayims, you're not allowed to even, you're not allowed to benefit from the outcome. But certain kalayims, you are allowed to benefit from that. So when they
like, I mean, let's
graft
say, like
fruit.
like they were selling in Costco, grapefruit mixed with the pomelo
Yeah, so
from
once it's
Israel.
done, you could eat it. If that's not
That
also.
makes no
Except by,
difference.
except by grapes.
Grapes
The lime from grapes.
grapes
is
with
other than-
with grain or with vegetables.
Yeah.
But that's not usually what they do.
No,
It's
no.
a vegetable.
No, it was a
It's a
fruit.
fruit.
Two
It's two
fruits
fruits.
mixed
Fruits.
together
Two
from
fruits.
Eretz Yisrael.
So
It's like a
the
nectarine.
outcome you can have.
Nectarine is also with that. Plum and a peach.
So this is a very powerful word, even before the Sikh of the Rebbe. It's already a Rabbeinu Bechaya and the Ramban, how the Eibusher wants everything to be the way the Eibusher made it, and Kalayim means you're locking it up. Kloim. You're locking it up, you're not allowing it to be the way the Eibusher made it. And Hashem says, if I made something a certain way, it should remain that way. Don't destroy it. Then there's another type of Kalayim. The other type of Kalayim is, you're not destroying anything. It's just a bad chemistry. Two opposites trying to put them in the same together is not going to work out. So the Eibusher said, Semer and Pishtim are just a bad chemistry. So it comes out that there's two types of Kalayim. There's a Kalayim that the Torah says also as Chukoisai Tishmeru, and the Ramban teaches Chukoisai based on the Medrash, Chukim Shabam Chakakti Shamayim Varetz. These are the things I made, and I want you to keep it and protect it the way I made it. Don't change it from the way Hashem made it. That's the normal Kalayim. Then Begodim, Shatnez is a different thing. You're not actually changing anything, but it's a bad mixture. There's a general question. We know the Torah was given to make Shalom Ba'olam. Torah was given to make peace. The Rambam says the whole Torah was given to make peace. Shalom. That's in general the concept that a person is supposed to go the middle way. The middle way represents Shalom. It's not just the middle way. The middle way actually means a mixture of two. The middle doesn't mean neither. The middle means you have both in the right mixture. So if a person is going the middle way, means he would have chesed and gvura together, meaning he's disciplining and being kind at the same time. Firmness and kindness at the same time. Chesed and gvura at the same time. Like it says, a person should always have his right hand bringing close and his left hand pushing away. We're supposed to go in the middle way and have a mixture of both together. So there's supposed to be shalom. So what's happening over here? That the Eibusher is saying you're not allowed to have kalayim, and suddenly the whole Torah is supposed to be shalom. It's a powerful question. Is there supposed to be shalom, or is kalayim it also? Are we supposed to mix two things together, or are we supposed to keep each thing separately? So what's the answer?
What's the question again?
The question is the Torah pro having two things together, or the Torah pro each thing staying separate? On one hand, you could say, well, Kalayim is also, it means the Torah wants everything separated. On the other hand, we know the most beautiful thing is Tiferes, Midas HaTiferes, which shows on the revelation of Hashem, because Tiferes means just Chesed is not good enough, just Gvura is not good enough, but Tiferes, the whole Torah is about beauty. Tiferes, the Derech HaYeshara is the most beautiful way, is when someone does something that's good for him and good for everyone else. Any extreme is not good according to the Torah. That means you're supposed to be the middle way, which is a mixture of both. So is the Torah pro mixtures or the Torah against mixtures? Some places we see the Torah is against it, some places the Torah is pro it. So what's the right thing? So in the Sikha, the Rebbe explains that there's two conditions for a Yid to be able to go and have the mixture. The first condition is that you're not destroying the two things to unite them, but each thing could remain who they are and work together. That's the difference between communism. Communism was about unity, right? Wasn't it about unity?
Yeah, everybody collective.
But how do you make
Greater good
unity?
for all.
They say, well, if you're going to be you and someone else is going to be someone else, there's not going to be able to be unity. So you can't be you, and the other person can't be someone else. So then we'll destroy both of you, there'll be unity. So everyone is just a person who's talented to be something very high, and someone else who's talented to be something, the garbage collector. They're both equal because of communism. So you're destroying the talents Hashem gave them. You're destroying the specialty that Hashem gave each one. And you're saying we'll destroy the differences, and now you'll be able to unite.
Communism is about making everybody equally poor.
Making everyone equal.
Equally
Right.
poor.
Equally poor. Right.
Garnished.
Right. So Torah is not about making shalom by destroying everyone's differences. Now we'll have shalom. That's not what the Torah is about. The Torah says kilayim is also. Kilayim means you want to destroy the orange and destroy the lemon and make something new, and there shouldn't be an orange and a lemon anymore. That's also. The orange has to remain the orange and the lemon has to remain lemon. And for that, there's no heter. You could be in the Beis HaMikdash, you could be doing the biggest mitzvahs. That's why these types of kilayim, we never find mutter. There's never, we said, even in the Beis HaMikdash, you can't mix seeds or animals, because these things that you're actually destroying the individuality, the way Hashem made them, that is also everywhere. Because that's totally against the Torah. That doesn't mean peace. You're not bringing peace. You're destroying. That's not the peace that the Torah is here for. What is the Torah here for? To make peace. Pshat peace means that each one remains who they are, and nevertheless, they work together. Now that's something very difficult, because if two things are actually on the same, they're in the same
Realm.
right, and then they're all out for the same thing. If let's say they're both out to do chesed, they both want to be kind. Okay, so two people that want to be kind get together and they make something, or they both want to make a certain type of maisid. They're both on the same board, they're on the same boat. They get together and they help each other. But what happens if they're opposites? One's agenda is chesed, and the other's agenda is gvura. They say that one guy's agenda is two opposites. This guy has a plan of making a maisid for the poor, and the other guy has a plan for the rich. So they're just going to be contradicting each other the whole time. So then we say, you know what? Each of you open up your own maisid, because you're going to work together. It's not going to go. You're going to clash. You're going to fight. It's not going to work together. You're just going to each pull towards yourselves, and you're not going to work together. So that's another extreme. I mean, one extreme
What's the
is
extreme? What's the other extreme?
one extreme is let's destroy the differences, and then you work together. The other extreme is we'll leave the differences, but if you leave the differences, how are you going to work together? So mitzad the world, the way the world runs is you can't do any of them. You can't, and the Torah tells us, you can't do kalayim. Kalayim, there's two types of kalayim. You can't destroy the differences to unite them. And you can't put wool and linen together, which are two opposites, also they can't be united. So what could you do? You could take things that are on the same boat, and that you could work together. But two opposites don't go together, because either you're going to destroy each other, or you're going to be fighting the whole time. Either you lose your individuality, or if you have your individuality, you'll be fighting the whole time. It's just not going to work. So what? So stick with something that's your style. But the Torah tells us that that's all if there's no kedusha brought in. But if there's a mitzvah of tzitzis, or you're in the Beis Hamikdash for Bigdei Kuna, the garments of Bigdei Kuna, then you're allowed to have shatnez. What does that mean? Then you could have tzemer and pishtim together. The tzemer remains a tzemer, the pishtim remains a pishtim, and they're working together. So it's a meir de kavar. To destroy individuality, there's no heter. You're never going to find a heter for that. But that each should remain, that's what's supposed to be, each should remain. But how are they going to work together? So mitzvah the world, they can't work together. But if you bring a mitzvah in, you bring kedusha in, then they could work together. That's why in the Beis Hamikdash you could have tzemer and pishtim. The tzemer is the tzemer, the pishtim is the wool and linen, and they could work together.
Tzitzis b'kalayim is mutter.
Tzitzis b'kalayim. For a mitzvah, for the big dekuna in the Beis Hamikdash. The moment we bring, that's the concept of oiseh sholem b'mreima. We say, Hashem, you make peace in heaven. We say in heaven there's chesed, in chol. There's gavriel, that's gvura. Each one is working with their agenda. So they can't work together. But when the Eibishter is revealed, so now their agenda is, they have the Eibishter, they realize they're all shluchim of Hashem. They realize what they're really about. So then Gavriel continues being gvura, and Michal continues being chesed. They continue being who they are, but they work together because they realize they're on the same team. Because they have a higher purpose. So there's something that combines them, and now they're able to work together. That's Tiferes, that's the beauty. That's what we say the whole Torah is about making peace. What does it mean the whole Torah is about making peace? Torah is not about destroying. Torah is about, the chiddush of the Torah is that we're able to take the individualities of two opposites and put them together. That a Yid gets through Torah, through giving himself over to the Eibishter and realizing that we're a shliach of the Eibishter, then we're able to do that. And the Torah says, but if the Kedusha is not there, then you can't combine opposites either. Then you just have to stick to where you are. So this is already an unbelievable concept. With this, the Maimorim explain. This Maimorim that asked the question, how did it says by Benegeya to when the Eibishter gave the Torah, Malach Michal is going to come and say, I want the Torah. So the Eibishter is going to say, well, when Avraham Avinu, you came as one of the guests, Avraham Avinu gave you Basar B'cholov, you ate Basar B'cholov. So you're not fit to get the Torah. So the question is, well, then why did the Malachim eat it if it's against the Torah? And why did Avraham Avinu give it to them to eat in the first place? So here we're getting into Basar B'cholov already. Basar B'cholov. The Rebbe explains Basar B'cholov is somewhere in the middle. It's already a very tif of art. Basar B'cholov is somewhere in the middle. I'll ask you, is Basar B'cholov, it's kalayim, it's osir, because you're losing the individuality of what each one is? Or is it because they're just opposites and they can't get together? So the Rebbe says it's somewhere in the middle, because putting two seeds together or two animals together, you're actually changing the essence of their being. Their whole potentials is becoming different. Their children are going to be a whole different species. You're changing the essence of it. Shatnez, you're not changing anything of it. Basar B'cholov, the Rebbe says, is somewhere in the middle. On one hand, it's not, you're cooking it together, so it actually becomes one in a certain sense. The milk and meat actually permeate each other. On the other hand, it's not to the extent that it permeates the essential being of it.
So how come Basar B'cholov is asur b'hanal while kilayim with seeds are not? It should be much worse.
Yeah.
Kilayim with seeds should be much worse.
Yeah. It's a good question.
I think because there involves cruelty with milk and meat. I think it was either today's or yesterday's Rashi. I think I read it somewhere in the Chayina
Oh yeah?
about the cruelty of why Hashem doesn't allow.
It's another sikh of the Rebbe. Yeah. So it's explained in the Meforshim that when a Yid does Kilayim down here, we're not only, everything we do down here also affects the source above. So Kilayim down here also affects all the Koiches Oyenim, the Chayis of Hashem that makes this, whatever it is, also gets affected by Kilayim. So if they're mixing bringing two animals together, they're also mixing the energy of the Eibishter above that give life to the two animals. So the Rebbe says, by Basar B'cholov, true, you are changing the Basar B'cholov, but it's not deep enough that it should affect the spiritual aspect of the energy of Basar B'cholov. Because the energy has to do with the essence of it, not with its the physical makeup. So the Rebbe explains that with this the Rebbe we were learning Yonah Gul Moshiach because Rabbeinu Bechaya brings down that when there's going to be Tchias HaMesim, eventually this is the Zimeis HaMashiach, and then later will be Tchias HaMesim. And then he brings down a medrash that Basa B'cholov will become mutter, will be bottle. There won't be any more the Isser Basa B'cholov. So in this Sikha, the Rebbe finishes off the Sikha, what's the explanation to that? Why will Basa B'cholov, for the same price, the Malachim ate Basa B'cholov? So the simple answer to that is because similar to Shatnez, just like Shatnez is mutter in the Beis HaMikdash, Shatnez is mutter for tzitzis, so too, when the Eibusher will be revealed, will be total Kedusha, like by the Malachim or by Tchias HaMesim, so then we'll be able to mix two things together because Eiseh Shalom B'Mreima, when the Eibusher is in the picture, two opposites could remain and work together. But the Rebbe says that's all a good explanation if Basa B'cholov was just like Shatnez. But if Basa B'cholov is deeper than that, you're also and physically, in a certain sense, destroying the identity. Because it was Basar and this was Cholov, and when you mix them and cook them together, it becomes a new identity called Basa B'cholov. There's no longer Basar, there's no longer Cholov. Now, when you cook milk and meat together, the milk and the meat are now called Basa B'cholov, no longer Basar and Cholov. They become a new identity. So in a certain sense, they're losing their identity. If they're losing their identity, it shouldn't even be muttered even on the loftiest levels. So the Rebbe explains that because when Mashiach will come, the identity of everything is no longer going to be the physical identity, it's going to be the spiritual identity, the power of Hashem that gives it life. Like the Alter Rebbe says, I don't see the beam, I see the power of Hashem. And being that Basa B'cholov only, in a certain sense, destroys the physical identity, it doesn't destroy the godly identity. And therefore, when Mashiach will, by Tchias HaMesim, or by the Malachim, that all they see is the godly identity, over there they're not destroying. And therefore, over there it will be mutter.
I understand.
So it comes out is that the reason why, in order for Kalayim to be mutter, this is the point that Rebbe is saying. In order for Kalayim to be mutter, you need two conditions. The first condition is that you can't be destroying. If you're destroying something the Eibusher made, you're saying a man is not a man, or a orange is not an orange anymore. I want to destroy it. I want it to become a grapefruit. If you want to destroy, that has nothing to do with, it's against the Torah. Hashem says you're going against my will. You're destroying what I made. That's the first condition. And that there's no heter for that. So the second thing is, okay, each thing will remain who they are, and now let them work together. For that you need Hashem in the picture. You need Kedusha. Otherwise, why should two opposites work together? If this wants to do Chesed and this wants to do Gvura, what's gonna be the bridge to put them together? But if they're out to do what Hashem wants, so that combines them, that the Chesed and the Gvura could work together. Like if a person is wants to be nice, he'll just be nice. If he wants to be strict, he'll just be strict. What's going to give him the power to be Chesed and Gvura is because he has a certain goal where he wants to get to, and that goal he wants to do what the Eibusher wants. That will give him the strength to put the Chesed and the Gvura together. So the Rebbe says, this that Basa B'cholov will be mutter when Mashiach comes. So that makes a lot of sense, because when Mashiach, actually by Tchias HaMesim, it's similar to the Malachim eating Basa B'cholov, because being that Hashem is revealed, you can combine two opposites. But the Rebbe asks on that's still not enough. Because by Basa B'cholov, you're not just combining two opposites, but in a certain sense, you're destroying the previous identity. Because there's no longer Basa, there's no longer Cholov, it became a new identity of Basa B'cholov. And for that, there's no heter whatsoever. If you're destroying an identity, there's no heter al pi Torah. So how could it be that there'll be a time that Basa B'cholov will be mutter? So for that, the Rebbe explains that being the Basa B'cholov is only destroying the external identity, not the internal identity, because you're only cooking two things together. This internal identity is not being destroyed.
You're only doing what? You're only doing what?
You're only cooking two things together, but in essence, each thing still remains who they are. In a very deep level.
They're already finished products.
Because they're already finished products. So you're only affecting them on an external level. On a very deep level, you're not affecting them. By
What do
Tchias HaMesim,
you mean?
it's a very, very deep concept. But by Tchias HaMesim, we're going to see everything on a very deep level. And there, we're not destroying. And therefore, it's going to be mutar.
But the meaning you are destroying.
But 2 million, yeah, it permeates all the way. Because their children, their offsprings are totally different. That means we permeated it to the essence. It says in Chassidus that someone blind can have a child that's not blind.
Mhm.
Because the power of birth comes from a deeper level where over there, the neshama is complete. And this person has a blemish. Why he's blind is something that happened more externally. But very deep inside, he has the potential of seeing. Just he has an external blemish. And the power of birth comes from his essence.
Is that to say that genetic diseases come from the essence?
No, the opposite maybe.
Genetic diseases that he does pass it down. He passes it down.
So people
Yeah.
experience,
Yeah.
people experience phantom pain, I think. They actually feel pain in their leg even after it's been amputated and get lost. So the neshama still feels that leg. So the leg, in the neshama's world, the leg's still there. Just physically it's gone.
Right? Some very deep things. So the question is, how deep does it permeate? But the point that fascinates this sikha, the point that struck me, every person has something else they could take out of the sikha. But according to Torah, there's no place to destroy something. Everything has to be who it is. Now, how could two opposites work together if each thing is the way who they are? You're right. So if you don't, if you're without, if you're not part of kedusha, then you can't. So you got to stick to the separation. And in order there should be this unity, that's what Torah is all about. Torah brings in the unity. But the pshat of Torah bringing unity is, unity doesn't mean destroying. Unity means to unite two opposites that they should work together. That's what Torah is all about. And that's the answer. Torah is about unity, not about destroying. They say, let's make peace. That's the famous thing in Eretz Yisrael. We'll make peace. What does it mean you're making peace? You're making peace. What type of peace is there? It's destruction. It's not peace. So either you want to. There's more two opposites that cannot.
Diversity only works if you have the
Cannot
Torah.
unite. There's no unity. Without the Eibush, there's no unity. They have one agenda. They have a whole different agenda. There can't be unity.